Good morning. Good Sabbath. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to church. You are the faithful remnant, gold stars in heaven. For those who are, not as frequent with us, we had a little party last night. and I think everyone's still home dancing in their dreams. The strong survive. Thank you all for celebrating with us. We had a wonderful time. Barb's saying music. It's such a long delay. All right. People at home, I apologize. I hope you're still going to hear me. We could just go back outside. All right. So good morning again, and I'm Pastor Heather, and welcome to the Congregational Church. Today we'll and we're going to say whoever you are and wherever you are on my journey, you are welcome here. And we said to all our friends, we're all and thanks for being part of our fun and community. I think most of the rest of the readings are for you have to offer with very short announcements today. I will say for the folks who watch us on Facebook and flag us for copyright, we have one license number 73890-A, and everything we do is with permission. So,
First of all, I want to welcome everyone, and those of you who we saw last night. I think fellowship will be here with you this summer and Sabbath. Welcome. The rest of you working online, please put joy, concern, and capitals, so that we know. We're in the physical sanctuary. You may share your prayer requests with our normal green concern. I will select them and praise for you. Announcements this morning: COVID update. Masks are now optional in the center section. The two side sections will remain socially distant with masks and your word. If you sing hymn or shalom, please mask while singing to ensure safety for all. There is childcare available. Our teens are looking forward to playing outside and doing crafts and games with the book club. The book of Lost Friends by Lisa Wingate on July 19th. Myers, Kathleen. Grocery cards are available after worship. Seek out Price or someone else. Big reminder. Not a change in the weather, but next Sunday is Christmas in July. Pastor Heather has an announcement.
Thank you. Other is that we have a special speaker that our prison ministry has organized for us. And so Gail and Nora have been talking with Reverend Dr. Dieter Weiss-Baker, who is a colleague of mine from seminary, originally from New York City. He has served as a youth prison chaplain in St. Louis. And
Amen. Now, our camera in back does not seem to be working, Tom. So this is our, okay, well, we're up here on this phone now, and we've got some followers. So hi, friends. Thanks for hanging in with us. We're going to just make it work. So, oh, not again. And I've lost my bulletin, right? If you didn't like it the first time, maybe you like it the next one. So this is a point in our service where we have a children's sermon. And sometimes we have children for that. But today we have all of the children of God here in the room. So we're going with this. And we have a couple of special friends who are going to come help us with this children's sermon. So here comes Pastor Polly, who's my friend visiting from St. Louis. She's here with her husband, Randy, and their little dog, Jack the dog. And Charlie, come here, Charlie. And Charlie, the church dog, is here too. My little Charlie friend. Hi, Charlie. Hi, friend. Hello, there's Charlie. Hi. And here's Jack. No, you're good, right? We'll come right up here. Now, you who are in back can't see this, but you who are looking on the screen can. But I'm going to pick him up and you'll be able to see. Ugh. Yes. I don't know what's unplug.
I think it's just using it. Start again until you start using the camera.
Something says delay on it. Have you delayed so it's going into action?
This phone has nothing to do with the sound system.
You're talking or you have something else your sound system.
This is not in a sound system. It doesn't have to do with the phone.
It doesn't have to do with how it's coming.
It's coming through the sound system. This phone's not connected to that. All right, we can try this. Sorry, guys at home. I'm sorry we have to give up Zoom. May the force be with you.
Wise old dog over there, see Clarence, the wise old dog. He's like, what, me? That's me? Yep. That's your part, Clarence. Clarence said, I don't know, Charlie. I don't know if happiness lives in your tail, but maybe it does. And so Clarence over there just has a little short tail. But he was long on thoughts about these happy tails because he can still wag his little nubbin, right? So anyway, Charlie the dog with his little happy tail decided, I know just what to do. I will chase my tail, and when I catch it, I'll always have happiness. So Charlie got busy running in little circles chasing his tail, but of course what happened? But when you chase your tail, it always gets further away. It's always running away. The older dog said, you know, maybe Charlie, you can think about this. Jack, who always has the right answer, said, you know, Charlie, I found that when I go about my business, and I go looking for places that could use a friend, if I go sniffing around until I see there's another friend around I can go play with, my happiness comes right into my tail all by itself. Yeah. And when we go around doing our own little dog thing, not worrying about chasing our tails, happiness just comes out. Right? But when we chase it, it always runs away. That seems like a good lesson for all of us to learn, right? Yeah. When we go around looking for ways to make other people happy, the happiness comes right in. By on the other side. So likewise, a Levite, when he came to the place and he saw him, he passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, the lowest of the low, the folks we cross the street to get away from, the Samaritan, while traveling, came near the man. And when he saw him, he was moved with pity. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, having poured oil and wine on them. Then he put the man on his own animal, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day, he took out 2 denarii, gave them to the innkeeper, and said, take care of him, and when I come back, I will repay whatever and more you spend. So, lawyer, Jesus said, which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robbers? The lawyer said, the one who showed him mercy. Jesus said to him, go and do likewise. It's funny, these stories that were written 2,000 years ago, right? Because we just haven't changed much as human beings. We still have lawyers. I think we would have figured this out by now. We wouldn't need lawyers, but no, we've got more lawyers than ever. And we need them. And what do the lawyers do? Well, the things we all do. They argue, allegedly for our best interests, the best interests of their clients, or they argue because they can, because they know the law, and they know how to win. And that's what this lawyer is trying to do. He thinks he knows the law, and he's taking on this whippersnapper young rabbi. Okay, rabbi, rabble-rouser, you think you know how this works? What should I do? And Jesus takes him out to the woodshed, right? So you know all the answers, oh lawyer, and you think you can rig the system. It's run for you. You're a person of privilege. You know just what to do, and you always have the right answers. You get the best seats in the Coliseum. You get all the invites to the important parties, right? So let's talk about this story. A A Levite is like a lawyer, right? The one who knows the law. Priest also knows the law. We know the rules. And so what do? We know how to keep ourselves clean. The priest is going to cross away from this man on the road because it's a Sabbath day and he's ritually clean. And he doesn't want to go and get unclean by touching someone who has fluids oozing from his body. That's against the law, the righteousness law. So I'm just taking care of my own righteousness, you see, by leaving you there. Can't get dirty on the way to worship my God. The Levite, similarly, right? Oh, I'm an important guy, and I can't get ritually unclean. This could really, no, sorry. Because you're other. I am clean. I am godly. Does that sound familiar, right? We live in a world where we do this to each other endlessly. I can't side with you, sorry, you're in the wrong party. I can't side with you, sorry, your daughter can't date you, sorry. It's nothing personal. But the Samaritan. We think of good Samaritan in the same phrase because we've heard the stories about it, right? The good Samaritan. Samaritans were not seen as good in this culture. It would be like, you got an image in your head when you think about, what can we say in our culture? Inner city, right? Poor, other, somebody who just isn't doing well in school, isn't doing well financially, isn't doing well in the world. Maybe they probably have too many kids. They can't really afford. Like, who knows? Like, keep on whatever prejudices you got. We've all got them. Just be quietly honest with yourself. That's the guy. Right? That's the guy. And he sees somebody else no worse off, better off than some of his own life has been, some of his own people. So he doesn't have a law or rule to worry about. He only has his heart. In his heart, he sees himself right there. He would love his neighbor as himself. Jesus tells us over and over in these scriptures, like, go and serve people. If somebody's thirsty, give them a drink. If somebody's hungry, give them something to eat. If somebody's lonely, visit them. And we think, right, because we're righteous. So the righteous, good people are supposed to go do the good thing, right? No, that's not why. Jesus says, go where the broken people are, because it will remind you of your own brokenness. And we need to deal with our own brokenness, people. We need to deal with our own brokenness. Because if we're always going around carefully trying to be perfect, being the good people, the righteous people, the clean people, the people with the right pedigrees, we are covering over the realities of our lives, our brokenheartedness, the betrayals, the hurts, the longings, the sadness, the illness, the imperfection, all of the things that are real. And when we cover those over, we can't get to them. If we can't get to them, then we are not living as human beings. The fullness of the lives we've been given, right? Santa's here today. I don't mean to call you out, but Santa does amazing work with people's bodies, right? And we have PT people here too that do amazing work with people's bodies, because what happens? The emotions, the spirit, the things in our bodies, the memories, the hurts, we gather them in, and they live in here in our flesh, in our sinews, in our joints, in our backs. We carry all that brokenness because we don't let it out. We don't face it. And we have to own it. We have to be real. We're all the guy on the side of the road. We've all been kicked by somebody. All of us. I mean, that's the whole problem in our society. Is that we've all been kicked, and none of us want to know it. None of us want to admit it. So we won't look at when other people are being kicked because it reminds us too much of what's happening inside ourselves, and we need to go on Teflon. But not if we're in a journey with God. Because if we're on a journey with God, our job is to open up our hearts and let them break. Because it's only in the breaking of our hearts, my friends, only in the breaking of our hearts that we may become whole. It's in the breaking of our hearts that we find our compassion. Not that we read in a book, somebody told us, or watched on a webinar that Brene Brown tells us about, right? We find our true compassion because we feel it when we feel our hearts reach out to another. I really think that's the thing that brings most of us to church. It's not that we're really pursuing like God anymore. I hope we are, but I think the deeper thing is we're looking for connection. And we know somebody who had cancer and the church was there for them, you know? We have this connection, like when I'm suffering, I need someplace to turn and I can't do it in my PTA maybe, or I can't do it in my workplace, or maybe I can't do it in my family. The place I am, I can't be fully open about how I hurt. And so I quietly sneak into some place like a church, I hope, where I sit with other people who are willing to sit and quietly acknowledge that we're all a little broken. And we all need a safe place to just come in our brokenness and rest. This is the side of the road. We're all that guy who finds ourselves cast off here. Somebody stole our clothes, somebody stole our livelihood, somebody stole our something, and we're a little heartbroken, and we need to come together and just be honest and lay it down and hope that somebody else whose heart has also been broken comes, gathers us up. That's it. That is the ministry of Jesus Christ. That's what he's talking about to this lawyer. You can go read all the rules, lawyer, but knowing the right answer, right? He says you have said the right answer. Knowing the right answer here is actually maybe the least helpful, because it can distract us from knowing the right answer here, where our humanity lives, where the real change happens, where we have the biggest possibility of becoming fully human, fully healed, and fully able to love with the kind of life-changing love that Jesus and these disciples talk about. The kind of love that when I am so thirsty, soul thirsty, and I'm standing in the grocery line thinking, I don't think I can do it another minute, and somebody turns around and sees me and just picks up my tab and says, I hope tomorrow's a better day. The kind of love that when I see another news story and I think, God, what are we doing? Makes me get together with a couple of our friends and say, let's start a prison ministry and reach out to some people who are hurting and whose families are just rocked by what the system has done to them. The kind of love that makes us look out at our neighbor and think, I don't think I've seen them lately. Darn it, I'm crossing the street and going over to see what they need. And maybe it'll be overwhelming, but if it is, I can always call my friends at church and maybe together we can figure something out. The kind of love that says, I know you're sitting with your beloved by the bedside and you're wondering how many more days you have together, but we hope you can feel the embrace of this church praying for you and knitting prayer shawls and bringing you meals, and knowing that while we can't save your beloved, we can hold you as you say goodbye. Life is about our hearts being broken. It's about being the guy on the side of the road beaten up. That's it. That's life. And resisting that, well, we resist our humanity. But the more of our grief, the more of our fear, the more of our sadness we can turn and face and honestly show vulnerably to another, the deeper we can go into that well, the higher we can stretch into our joy, and into our love, into our human connectedness. When Jesus encountered people, they would say, this guy has to be the child of God because no one has seen me. in the way he sees me. No one ever stopped to look. And Jesus said, go, my disciples. Go to where the hurting people are and sit with them. Not because you have something to fix for them, but because you need to be present with another broken-hearted person and find out what it is to love. The word for God's compassion is a riff on the word for womb in the scripture. When we are compassionate with God's love, it's like creating a womb of empathy, safety, and caring. And that's what we are called to do, and what is promised to be possible when we ask God to help us and to hold us as we go. So be the Samaritan. Go suffer. Go suffer with an open heart. And reach out your hand to the others who are so courageous, foolish, and vulnerable to do the same. Thanks be to God. This is the time of the worship service where we pass the plate, and into the plate may go your offerings if you have them. If you're giving online, we thank you. Or your prayers. The prayers can be on green and pink slips, and Deacon Peter will collect them, and we'll have some prayer. And while he does that, I would like to invite our NMCC choir of women to sing for us about love for growing.
Take a look around you.
Tell me what you see. People here to worship the Lord, just like you and me. Some have come in gladness, some have come with fear, but all have come because they know that love portion of the morning. Nan is back hospitalized. She woke up yesterday and couldn't move her leg. So more testing is done. They're hoping to hear more today. Of course, she continues to mourn Bud, who passed a few weeks ago, and worry about her kiddos as they mourn their dad. And Kathy is ever vigilant with Nan, and they're doing their best to hold it all together. But so continued prayers. And the meal train continues for low sodium foods. We're just hesitating for the moment because they're at the hospital. So keep it in your prayer.
Now is the time in our service when we share our joys and concerns. We have two concerns, and they're exactly the same. In different words, prayers for dear little Charlie. Glad that his tail is still wagging. And some joys. As many of you know, I had a few health scares recently. Things are returning to normal, thanks to the beautiful prayer calls, many meals, and the love I was given by the church. I'm ever grateful for all of you. From my wife, Lydia, and thank you to the Garden Club for accepting me. Another joy, my mom is now a Madison resident from Heather C. Thank you, Barb and Heather, for a wonderful evening last night. Joy, there is nothing like new love. And Roberta shared.
About that one. Because if you haven't noticed, there's some happiness in that corner over here, and it's about darn time, and we're so happy. Yay!
And Roberta shares the joy. Dick is slowly feeling more like himself, and he thanks for your prayers. Wondering why so many of you asked about his health, and the answer to have been a true prayer list for 2 months. It must be working. That's all I have.
Well, let us continue in a spirit of prayer. And today we're, at the conclusion of our prayer, we're going to pray together from the New Zealand Book of Worship. So you might want that out if you're ready. Will you be in a spirit of prayer with me? Holy One, lover of us all, suffering God, joyful God, tender, tending God, pushing, pulling God. Sometimes we don't like it when you push on us, and we don't like it when you ask us not to push on each other. Sometimes we don't like it when you pull on us, and we don't like it when you ask us not to pull on each other. But help us in these relationships that you've given us, in these hearts that you've put within us. Help us to lean in to this human experience created in your image. Help us to get really curious about these emotions and relationships, these experiences you've put in our lives. Help us to get really curious about how you may be calling us to lean in and to grow more deeply into our humanity, not to pull back from it, but to lean in to our own hearts and our own hurts, and in so doing, to lean in with compassion and empathy to one another. We're all in this together. So help us, God, to reach out a hand and to receive the hands reached out toward us wisely and gratefully and humbly and with compassion. Help us not to resist the love that's shared, Help us not to resist the challenges of life. Help us to trust that you are in all of it. And to lean on one another when it gets hard or scary or confusing. Because we've all had something happen we can all draw from and share with one another. So help us to allow ourselves to be seen when we're on the side of the road, and to receive the help that comes, and to bless those who pass on by. Their growing is for another day. And help us to receive also the opportunity to stop when we see another suffering and open our hearts and our hands and even our homes to address the hurt, to look at the systems that got the hurt there, to use our power and agency to be Christ's body in the world. Because you gave us this power and agency, and you gave us these hearts for loving, you gave us these relationships and opportunities for growth and knowing. So lead us into them so we can't miss them when they come. And hold our hands in our hearts as we tenderly lean in. And bless all of our efforts to bless one another and to receive the blessings coming our way. And let this gesture, this leaning in of love be a drop in the ocean of humanity that ripples out across its surface and down through the depths, amplifying the love, the caring, and sending away the fear, the jealousies, and hatreds that so often come to the surface. But instead rebirthing all of us to be the best versions we are created to be, the most loving, the closest to your image of God. Let people encounter us and this church and say, wow, they must be the children of God because no one has ever seen me like this. No one has ever made a space for me like this. No one's ever pulled the lead or listened to my story or broadcast a role or changed a system or sang out with such joy as this. No one's ever sat by my bedside or mowed my lawn or picked up my tab like this. That's love. Because I felt it when they reached out. We pray all this in Jesus' name, remembering the way he lived and loved and served. We pray these words together that he taught. Eternal Spirit, earth maker, pain bearer, life giver, source of all that is and that shall be, Father and Mother of us all, loving God, in whom is heaven, the hallowing of your name echo through the universe, the way of your justice be filled for the peoples of the world. Your heavenly will be done by all created beings. Your commonwealth of peace and freedom sustain our hope and come on earth. With the bread we need for today, feed us. In the hurts we absorb from one another, forgive us. In times of temptation and test, strengthen us. From trial too great to endure, spare us. From the grip of all that is evil, free us. For you reign in the glory of the power that is love, now and forever. Amen. Now we get to sing. So there are blue pew handles in your Bible, or in your pew pocket. If you're going to sing, please wear a mask. And that's number 487. We're going to sing verses 1, 2, 3. And someone say we should sing. You want to stand? Oh, let's stand. Gladden the hearts of those who make the journey with us. So be swift to love. Haste to be kind. And may the God who loves us and who made us and who makes this journey with us be with us all now and forever. Keep those tails wagging and shalom. CC, you have to come sing with Charlie. Here we go.